Raw, 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 raw. Oh, wait a minute. Display settings. Advanced display settings. Down to 60 hertz. Yes. Because otherwise, my computer can't handle it. I don't know if that worked. That actually worked. We're going to find out, right? Yeah, it worked. Because I can tell the difference just by moving, by turning. That's okay. It looks good for the stream. So I need wood. To make the roots and to make the tree bigger. Where did my stuff go? There we go. Let's see. Spruce log, dark oak. That's what we want. We want dark oak. More dark oak. The more dark oak, the bigger the roots. Ooh, I only have 25 rockets. Let's be judicious with my rocket use. Okay, so let's see. Where can I chop down some trees? How about right here? This looks like a nice easy patch. Da 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 da. So here I am, trying not to go crazy. When I read the news about Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin. Have you heard the news about Joe Manchin? Joe Manchin has given up on democracy. It's true. If Joe Manchin does absolutely nothing, democracy in the United States dies this year. Let me repeat that. If Joe Manchin does nothing, then democracy dies in the United States this year. Now, wait a minute, Pogo Kiddo. How could you be saying such big, crazy things like that? You know, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Who are you to be coming in here and saying crazy stuff like democracy will end by the end of the year if Joe Manchin doesn't do anything? Like, what are you talking about? How can you be saying this, Pogo Kiddo? Well, dear viewer, you make a good point. How could I be saying these things? Like, those are bold claims. Well, here, let me explain. So, Chuck Schumer is attempting right now to pass a law. He wants to pass a law, the Freedom to Vote Act, which restores a lot of the voting protection that was lost when Chief Justice John Roberts struck down the historic Civil Rights Voting Act passed, I think, in 1967. John Roberts struck that down, the Historic Voting Rights Act. And he said, pass a new act. But then you look at Congress and you got to look, Republicans are Confederates. They want to stop democracy. They do not want democracy to happen. They attempted to overthrow the government. That's how much they don't want democracy to happen. So and they control half the Senate. So John Roberts saying just pass another act is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. It only makes sense if you think John Roberts is really stupid. Or the other possibility than John Roberts being really stupid is that John Roberts is a racist and a Confederate, which I think is the more likely solution or answer. I don't think John Roberts is stupid. I think he's a Confederate. So it's part of his game, right? It's part of the whole like right-wing takeover of the United States, fascist takeover of the United States. John Roberts was put into power by George W. Bush, who himself got into power via a coup. Right. The only reason why W. Bush is in power was because Roger Stone got a bunch of his white friends together and created the Brooks Brother riot, which stopped the vote counting in Florida, which would have given the vote to Gore. And instead, his riot stopped the votes from being counted, and then the Supreme Court gave the state of Florida to Bush and selected Bush as president. So Bush became president and through a coup and installed John Roberts as Chief Justice. And then John Roberts did two things. He allowed Citizens United, which allowed dark money into our system, our political system, dark money, where you can put in money, you can put money into the political system, but you don't have to say where it came from. John Roberts was responsible for that. But he's also responsible for striking down the Voting Rights Act. He's the one who killed the Voting Rights Act. I better not do it here. So now that there's no Voting Rights Act, what does that mean? That means all these individual states are going to pass laws to limit voting. Because remember, Republicans do not believe in democracy. They do not believe in democracy. They do not believe that people should vote. They believe that power should be accrued into the hands of a few elite. And so they are actively trying to destroy democracy in the United States. So Schumer is going to try to pass this bill to restore democracy, the protections that John Roberts took away. But the problem is another senator by the name of Joe Manchin has given up on democracy. He doesn't believe in democracy anymore. Joe Manchin has given up. If Joe Manchin does nothing, these states that have enacted their voting suppression will continue to suppress the vote, and people who vote in 2022 will have a very, very, very hard time. And even if they get to vote, the extreme gerrymandering happening in a bunch of states means the politicians already picked their voters. So that's what's going to happen already. Already democracy is going to die. Because Joe Manchin doesn't believe in it. He's like, I can't do anything. I just got to vote no. I can't vote for anything. That's Joe Manchin. Now here, don't believe me, right? Don't believe me. Let's listen to what Joe Manchin has to say. Here's an intrepid reporter, this very good reporter, J.M. Reiger, right, from Reiger Report, captured this tweet. The reporters asked, people say you're making it so that they're not going to be able to vote in the next election. Yes, right? Right now, all these states are blocking the voting rights. They've already passed the laws. They've already drawn the broken maps. It's already happened. It's already going to end. Democracy is already going to end right now if Joe Manchin doesn't do anything. All he has to do is care about democracy. But what does Manchin say? The government will, he said the government will stand behind them to make sure they have a right to vote. We act like we're going to obstruct people from voting. That's not going to happen. So I have now, right? I'm thinking there's two possibilities here. Possibility number one, Joe Manchin is very corrupt because what he's saying are lies. He's just saying total, absolute, fabricated lies. So there's two possibilities. Number one, he's corrupt and he's been bribed, right? That's by the Confederates to overthrow democracy. The other, number two possibility is that the stereotypes about West Virginians, the bad stereotypes about West Virginians, Joe Manchin embodies them. In that he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know what's going on. So, because let's take the first possibility. Joe Manchin is corrupt. The first possibility is that Joe Manchin is corrupt. Why would I say that? Why would I say Joe Manchin is corrupt? Why would I say Joe Manchin is corrupt? Well, let's see. Okay. Because I say he's corrupt because he's standing with the Confederate Party that wants to overthrow the government. So he's standing with them. He's repeating their arguments. He is saying their words. He's basically the mouthpiece for the Republican Party. But for some reason, he's standing with the Democrats. So, I don't know, if he's just corrupt and the Democrats damn, dude, we got, this guy's corrupt and we can't do anything about it. That's one thing, right? He's like, oh yeah, I totally know I'm lying. He totally knows that he's full of shit. Manchin knows he's a liar. But they pay him enough money that he doesn't care. They pay him money. So if he's like, I don't care if I'm going to be with the Confederates, Manchin will throw away the United States because they pay him money. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that Manchin is really stupid. He's just unbelievably stupid. Like dumber than a bag of rocks. I can't believe there's any way he can even put his shoes on in the morning. That's how dumb Manchin is. He's stupid. So let's go over what he said. I corrected it, right? So that it wouldn't be so wrong. So because the truth is the government will no longer stand behind them to make sure they have a right to vote. We act like we're going to obstruct people from voting. That's already happened. That's the truth. What do you mean? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Look at this great article written yesterday by Ms. Kira Lerner. 7 states to watch in the 2022 push to restrict voting rights. Right? It already happened in Georgia. After the 2020 election, when a Democrat won the state's presidential contest for the first time in almost 3 decades, Georgia became ground zero for restrictive voting laws. In March, Brian Kemp signed Senate Bill 202, approving a spate of changes to voting rules, including a shortened period for requesting an absentee ballot, a ban on governmental entities from distributing unsolicited absentee ballot applications, and limitations on counties' use of ballot drop boxes, among many other measures. The state has been hit with several lawsuits claiming the law discriminates against voters of color, including one suit filed by the U.S. Department of Justice. So, that's just one, right? Georgia is the state where Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State at the same time he was running to be governor. So he ran the election at the same time as he was running in the election to be governor. And as the state Secretary of State, he purged the voting rolls of minority voters. And he restricted the voting poll locations for black voters and made it really easy for white voters. because he's Secretary of State, so it was easy for him to like corrupt the whole process. So because he doesn't actually believe in democracy, right? That's the whole point. That they don't want people, they don't want the right people voting, or they don't want the wrong people voting. They only want their people voting. So this is already happening. This is already happening. Joe Manchin knows this is already happening. It's already there. And he's like, I don't know if I can save democracy. I don't know. If Joe Manchin does nothing, it's over, right? So the Democrats are begging Joe Manchin, please, Joe Manchin, believe in the United States. Believe in the democracy. Believe, Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin's like, I just can't believe in this country. Joe Manchin's like, I can't believe in America. I just don't believe in democracy. That's Joe Manchin, right? He's like, I know that the majority of people want something done, but this minority of people got a lot of money, and I'm Joe Manchin, and I'm really corrupt. Well, there you go, right? Joe Manchin's that's the dilemma of Joe Manchin. Because in order for here, let's listen to his words.
What did you make of the letter from Jerry West and your old friend Nick Saban?
Well, Nick Saban's letter was straight. They're all straight on. They all want the right to vote, right? Mm-hmm. We all want that. And Nick Saban at the bottom of his letter, which they didn't put, Paul Tagliabue did not put what Nick Saban wrote at the bottom, his footnote. Yeah. He supports the filibuster. Do not get rid of the filibuster.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Wait.
Your old friend Nick Saban.
Well, Nick Saban's letter was.
Nick Saban. Who the hell is Nick Saban? Nick Saban. Nick Saban is an American football coach. Who the F cares about what a football coach thinks about politics? Who cares? He's a football coach. What does he know about politics? Get out of here. Why? Like, the fact that you even care what a coach says about it doesn't mean anything.
Straight, they're all straight on. They all want the right to vote, right? We all want that. And Nick Saban at the bottom.
No, we don't all want that. We don't all want that. Republicans expressly do not want people to have the right to vote. Expressly. Their whole point is to stop people from voting. So Joe Manchin is being either really, really corrupt and he's lying because they pay him a lot of money and he loves it, or he's really stupid, like unbelievably stupid, like West Virginia. Come on, dude. Come on, West Virginia. Don't make me hurt you. Like that's unbelievably stupid if that's the case. He's either very corrupt or really stupid. He's really stupid. He's asking about political advice from a football coach. And the football coach, like he knows anything about politics, has any kind of opinion about the filibuster. Like, who cares what a football coach? Why don't you actually ask, your constituents, the people who live in West Virginia? They're the ones you should care about. But no, Joe Manchin doesn't care about his own people. He is either really corrupt because they pay him a lot of money, or really, really, really stupid. I don't know, Joe Manchin. I don't know. Like, yeah.
Bottom of his letter, which they didn't put. Paul Tagliabue did not put what Nick Saban wrote at the bottom, his footnote. Yeah. He supports the filibuster. Do not get rid of the filibuster. Now, why did he automatically leave that out?
Who cares? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what a football coach thinks about the filibuster. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's funny that you keep bringing it up. It's like you don't have any other cover, so you look for whatever fig leaf you can to cover yourself up. Oh, look what this football coach says. Oh, dude, you're either corrupt or stupid.
Yeah, well, no. I think everyone. We should all support the right to vote.
We should all support the right to vote. We should, but that's not the way it is, because Republicans are expressly against democracy. They tried to overthrow the government. So we don't all support the right to vote. We should, but we don't. That's the real world.
But not breaking the rules to make new rules.
He's not breaking the rules to make new rules. I mean, were you not there when the Republicans, well, Donald's mob tried to murder you? Was that not breaking the rules? I mean, okay, that doesn't really help my case. But the thing is that the filibuster was put in afterwards. It wasn't there in the beginning. The framers didn't put it in there. It wasn't there from the start. It was put afterwards, and it was hardly used until like just recently. Now it's being used all the time. So it's obviously broken, but Joe Manchin is so either corrupt or stupid. He like if he's corrupt, then it makes sense why he wants to keep it, because it's a broken rule. So yeah, he wants to keep it because as a corrupt person, he's helping the bad side by keeping a broken rule. And he's being paid to do that. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that Joe Manchin is so stupid. Is that people told him that the filibuster is racist, but it won't sink in. Maybe he himself is racist too, and he's like, I can't believe the filibuster. People tell Joe Manchin the filibuster is racist. He's like, no, I believe in the filibuster. So if the filibuster is racist, that must mean Joe Manchin is racist. Well, yeah. Joe Manchin's like, no, I deny it. I can't believe it. So he's either really stupid or like more likely, yeah, it's racist. Of course it's corrupt. Of course it's bad for America. But they pay Joe Manchin a lot of money. So he doesn't care. They pay him a lot of money. Well, I don't know, Joe Manchin, you tell me. Because if you don't do anything, all these individual states, all these Republican-held states are going to basically limit the ability of people to vote and cement their control over. Well, already Donald Trump has said he wants to replace people in certain voting areas so that if the vote goes the wrong way, he can change it for his own good.
To be a lot sharper the next time when it comes to counting the vote. There's a famous statement, sometimes the vote counter is more important than the candidate, and we can't let that ever happen again. They have to get tougher and smarter.
The vote counter is more important than the candidate? Why would you say that? Oh, because you want to overthrow the democracy. You want to overthrow the country and just seize power, just like Joseph Stalin wanted to do. I get it. So yeah, Republicans are all about overthrowing the government. So either Joe Manchin is really, really stupid or really, really corrupt. That's your two choices. That's why this is a great picture. Joe Manchin embodies Robert E. Lee, the spirit of Robert E. Lee. Joe Manchin is like the vessel for the spirit of Robert E. Lee to come into. And Joe Manchin now represents Robert E. Lee and moves to act in the same way that Robert E. Lee would act as well. So you remember, Robert E. Lee historically served the United States. Well, and he was part of the state of Virginia. And oh man, John Brown staged a rebellion to end slavery, to end the institution of slavery, and Robert E. Lee, this guy right here, rode in from Virginia all the way over to it was still Virginia. I don't think it was West Virginia yet. It didn't become West Virginia until Virginia seceded. So Robert E. Lee, this guy right here, rode in from Virginia to execute John Brown and to drag West Virginia back into the Confederacy. So that's what Joe Manchin is the descendant of Robert E. Lee, the spiritual descendant of Robert E. Lee. By holding on to that filibuster, because he doesn't believe in democracy anymore, right? And since he doesn't believe in democracy anymore, he can't do anything. And if he doesn't do anything, then all these states have already passed these voter restriction laws. So it's already a done deal. But all we have to do is motivate the spirit of Joe Manchin. But he doesn't believe in democracy. He believes in the Confederacy. That's the role he plays. That's the role. I understand. We're trying to get Joe Manchin to play ball, but you have to understand the reason he's there is not to play ball. He's a spy. It's the same reason why Cheney and the other Republican are on the January 6th committee. It's not because they're good people. It's so that they can spy on the proceedings for the rest of the Republican Party. They're just as bad as the other Republicans. They're just as bad. Because you know how I know they're just as bad? Because how many of them voted to acquit Donald Trump? Of both times. How many of them have voted to acquit Donald Trump both times? I mean, I think Romney was like the only Republican to vote to impeach. He was like the only one. So it's not like So it's not like a Manchin is actually a Democrat. He consults with Republicans all the time. He's basically and he's a mouthpiece for Republicans. So what he's doing is he's just playing like a spy. Like they couldn't get a real Republican in there, so they got Manchin in there, who's like, you know, he has to like put on the appearance of being a Democrat, but he's actually a Republican. And he's there to let the Republicans know what the Democrats are doing and thinking, because Manchin gets all the information. He's in on the phone calls. I mean, he gets called into the president's office all the time, and then he goes and tells Mitch McConnell what happened. Like, right? Hey, Mitch, here's what Biden told me. Here's what Biden said. Hi, Mitch. Here's what the Democrats are doing, Mitch. Yeah, that's Manchin. So, understanding what he is, we have to start planning for the fall of democracy. Because what's going to happen when we go to 2022 to the elections, the midterm elections, and all these states have their voter restrictions, so that like the outcome is already predetermined, basically. Then what? Or what happens in 2022 when a Democrat wins and the Republican vote person says, "Oh, I don't want to count this election anymore, so I'm giving it to the Republican." Then what? And what happens when they do that all over the place? Like, Joe Manchin didn't believe enough in democracy to stop it. He's like, I can't stop it. I don't believe enough. Joe Manchin just didn't believe enough, or he was corrupt. He was corrupted. It's what he wants. But it's not what he wants, but it's what he's gonna get because they paid him enough for it. So he'll take whatever he'll take whatever, right? Because they pay him to do it. You know, Joe Manchin will take whatever because they'll pay him to take. Joe Manchin will do whatever. He'll do anything for money. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm making it up, right? It's his own words. He put his own words down. I'm not making it up. Let's listen to his words again. What are his words?
What did you make of the letter from Jerry West and your old friend Nick Saban?
Well,
Nick Saban, what do you think about so some football coaches weighed in. What do you think about what football coaches think about high stakes politics and like spanning like decades of history? What do you think? Tell us your opinion about what a football coach thinks.
Saban's letter was straight. They're all straight on. They all want the right to vote, right?
Yeah.
We all want that. And Nick
No, we all don't want that. Republicans do not want us to have the right to vote. Republicans do not want us to have the right to vote.
Saban at the bottom of his letter, which they didn't put, Paul Tagliabue did not put what Nick Saban wrote at the bottom, his footnote. He supports the filibuster. Do not get rid of the
He didn't write that. He didn't write that. There was nothing there. A footnote? So this is something that Joe Manchin is adding. Do not get rid of the filibuster. No, dude. No. That was not in the letter. You made that up. You just wrote in a footnote. Do not get rid of the filibuster. Because you told me before you supported it. Maybe. Nah, Joe Manchin, you don't have enough credibility for me to believe your word. I think you're full of shit. I think you're lying, Joe Manchin. You can show me the letter and then I'll feel bad, but I don't think you're going to show me the letter. I think you're full of shit. Maybe I should look it up. Let me look it up before I just dogged myself, I think. Wait a minute. Nick Saban letter to Joe Manchin. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. Here, let me get rid of this Joe Manchin picture. Oh. Do. Where's the letter? Where's the letter? The letter, which was shared in a press release. I don't see any footnote. I don't see any footnote that says don't get rid of the filibuster. I don't see it. There's no word filibuster. Joe Manchin is full of shit. Joe Manchin's lying. Joe Manchin is lying in this part right here.
What did you make
He's
of
lying.
the letter from Jerry West and your old friend Nick Saban?
Well, Nick Saban's letter was straight. They're all straight. Bottom, his footnote.
Yeah.
He supports the filibuster.
Lie! It's a lie! There's no fucking bottom there's no bottom. I looked at it.
But Paul Tagliabue did not put what Nick Saban wrote at the bottom, his footnote.
Yeah.
He didn't write nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Joe Manchin's lying again. But so he's basically imagining what a footnote written by a football coach in order to justify a filibuster, the end of democracy. Well, this football coach wrote a footnote that I can't show you, and it said something, but it was enough to convince me to end democracy in the United States. Yup. Mm-hmm. Man, Joe Manchin, you're either really corrupt or really stupid.
He supports the filibuster. Do not get rid of the filibuster.
Who cares what a football coach thinks? God damn, dude, you're so dumb.
Now, why did he automatically leave that out?
Well, because it's irrelevant what a football coach thinks. You stupid senator? Are you a senator? Oh my God, are you a senator?
Yeah, well, no.
Oh, this senator really, really cares what football coaches thinks about policies. Maybe we should have elected. Yeah, maybe West Virginia should elect the football coach next time.
No. I think everyone. We should all support the right to vote. Everyone.
Yeah, we should, but Republicans don't. White supremacists don't. And you act as if you don't know that. I think you don't know that. You don't understand it. It's like it doesn't register that Republicans tried to overthrow the country to stop a free and fair election. So clearly, not all of us want the right to vote. Clearly, that's a fundamental fact of nature of reality right now. It's a fact of reality. It's reality that we do not all want the right to vote. A number of us want to stop people from voting. That's the whole point of this issue. That is the crux, the core of this issue. The core. That group over there wants to stop people from voting. And they passed laws in order to make people not be able to vote. That's why we're asking you to vote to get rid of the filibuster, to stop them, to allow people to vote. But Joe Manchin is either really corrupt or really, really stupid. Here, listen to his idiocy again. Let's listen to that dumbness.
No,
I read the whole letter.
no, yeah, no. I think everyone. We should all support the right to vote.
We should.
Everyone. But not breaking the rules to make new rules.
Senator Manchin, what would you say to voters of color who say that your inability or your obstruction of the voting rights?
I'm not. There's no obstruction whatsoever.
So he's either a liar, he's either really corrupt, a white supremacist, he's like really like being paid a lot of money to just lie through his teeth, or he's incredibly stupid. Like people have peppered him with this information over and over and over again, and it never sinks in. Like, so he's like got a reading comprehension problem, maybe hearing problem, maybe he doesn't understand words, because he keeps repeating the same thing. He's either corrupt or stupid. Like, why? Like, how does he even like stay alive? Kind of stupidity.
But there are a lot of people out there who are saying that you're making it so that they're not going to be able to vote in the next election.
The laws there, the rules are there, and basically the government will stand behind them to make sure that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what this is about. Georgia is going to stop you from voting, right? You had Arizona is going to stop you from voting. The government's going to stop you from voting. So Michigan, you got Pennsylvania. You got Texas and Florida. Yeah, the government and Wisconsin, the government's going to stop you from voting. And Joe Manchin is okay with that. Joe Manchin is okay with stopping the government from stopping you from voting.
The right to vote. We have that. The things are taught. The government will stand behind them to make sure they have a right.
No, that's the whole point. That's why you need to pass the Voting Rights Act. The act that you're fucking filibustering. Like, yeah, there's this Voting Rights Act, the Freedom to Vote Act, that I'm filibustering that would protect you to vote. But it's not going to be there because he won't pass it. Because the filibuster.
To vote.
This idiot.
We have that.
He's either corrupt or stupid. I think he's corrupt. I don't think he can't possibly be that dumb. Like, no one is that stupid. You would be able to tell if he was that stupid. Because he'd have trouble like walking around Washington, D.C. He couldn't be able to get around if he was that stupid. So it's not that he's stupid. He's just really corrupt. He's really, really bad. He's like evil. I like the lies, like the ease with which he spreads these lies means they must pay him a lot of money, and he must be very practiced at spreading lies. Like he has a very good relationship with lying.
The things they're talking about now are in court. Mark Elias has an awful lot in court. The courts have struck down, like in Ohio, they struck down the gerrymandering. Things are happening, okay? We act like
they happen real slow, and many times the courts don't save you. What about this law that was passed that made it illegal to hand out water to people in line? I mean, yeah, sure, you can sue to try to, fight these things in court, but the fact that they're even doing it takes up energy and focus. And so it's already being under assault. And he's like, I don't care. Joe Manchin doesn't care about democracy. He just doesn't care.
that we're going to obstruct people from voting. That's not going to happen.
No, it's already happening. It's already happened. So he's either corrupt or stupid. He's either corrupt or stupid. But I think he's corrupt. I mean, he can prove me wrong. Joe Manchin can prove me wrong. He could pass the Freedom to Vote Act. He can prove me wrong, and I will eat crow. I will absolutely eat that crow. But I don't think I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Joe Manchin is going to lead us to the bad place. In service, as the spiritual successor to Robert E. Lee, I think Joe Manchin has a plan. So there's no point in pressuring Manchin. There's no point. Why talk to him? He's only there to feed information to the Republicans. He's not there to actually negotiate. He's not there to negotiate. He's there to feed information to the Republicans and to string along the Democrats. So as long as you keep playing his game, he will play the game for as long as it takes. He'll keep playing. He doesn't care. If it's not one thing, it'll be something else. But keep negotiating with him so he can keep feeding information to the GOP. And then in 2022, when the Republicans take the House, I mean, it's all over anyways. Like, Joe Biden gets impeached, and then the 2024 elections. Yeah, elections don't get fixed because they can't get fixed anymore. And then 2024 happens. Donald Trump probably seizes power. We have a civil war. Yeah, Joe Manchin's got a great plan. Yeah, as the spiritual successor of Robert E. Lee, he wants revenge. Joe Manchin, as the spiritual successor of Robert E. Lee, wants revenge, and that's the crux of what's going on. He wants revenge. Okay, Pogo Kiddo out. Peace.